expose of who's on, I will take my mask off.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Chemmy, you're on. Mark, what is 5 minus 1?
Oh, 4.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to myself, Max McGillivray, Editor-in-Chief of Beanstalk Global. We're live today with our fantastic series, AHDB Beanstalk Talking Leaders, with the brilliant Chemmy Alcott and our lovely friend, Mark Campbell. Chemmy, say hello. Mark, say hello.
Morning.
I will take my goggles off. Oh, it's a bit bright in the mountains just then. Apologies. Media is amazing that I can do this right from Zugspitze in Germany. I'm right at the top of the glacier. But I'm here for you guys.
Chemmy, is it warm or cold at the top of that glacier?
I mean, it looks like it's very chilly behind me, but I am lying because this is a photo taken midwinter and it's definitely very warm right now across the Alps. But we are hoping for some snow soon.
Excellent. One thing that we haven't talked about when we've been setting this up, everyone, we will get serious in a minute. We have a joke in our business about there's lots of farmers who love to ski, Chemmy, and one thing that we always rate ski resorts on is how expensive the chips are up on the mountains. And the best that we heard, I think it was about 3-4 years ago, and it was somewhere in Gstaad that someone got charged 24 euros for a plate of chips. Can you better that, Chemmy?
In Courchevel, a burger and chips is 60 euros.
Wow.
I mean, the thing is, it takes the enjoyment out of eating it for me. I mean, if the chips are like thrice cooked in truffle oil, you're like, okay, you're giving us something, we're up the mountain. But you always feel like you're earning stodgy food when you're up the mountain because it's cold. Yeah. But actually, you don't burn that many calories. So be careful about those chips.
Oh, well done. Okay, can you imagine that, Mark? Chips sprinkled in gold. Oh, that'd be €1,000, please.
With some salt. With some salt.
Yeah.
Down the arm.
Right, come on, let's get on with this because we're live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn, and onto YouTube, and onto our podcast series. So just give a bit of background to this. Talking Leaders is an inspired series set up by Mark and his a great colleague Isaac and their colleagues from the AHDB. And one of these gentlemen, they came up with this phrase about, come on, Max, we want to create the conversation, not be part of the conversation. And we're not trying to compete with a good grief the Chris Evans of the world. It's just that we think that with the audience that we've got with Beanstalk and with the AHDB, we can find some really interesting, eclectic, Chemmy, individuals who we can all learn from. And if there's one thing I've learned about agriculture, it's an amazing sector, but some of us are just because the nature of it, we get tied up on the day-to-day, we get a little bit myopic. And if we can give them half an hour of sort of solace, and people can learn from the individuals that Mark and Isaac and I are bringing in, if it lightens their day and also gives them inspiration to, I don't know, change, it's going to be beneficial. So far we've had on, in no particular order, Holly Beckett. And Chemmy, this lady's amazing. She managed to get us all meditating. We had what was it, Mark? It was a 2-minute silence where she taught us how to meditate properly, and the engagement that we got from Holly was outstanding. And then previous to that, we had Tim Bradshaw talking about how to deal with a crisis. And Chemmy, he's amazing because talk about a crisis. So he's ex-military, so he's uber trained on that basis. But he was up Everest during an earthquake. And so he just walked us through how to deal with a crisis. And we've all, in our work lives or our personal lives, we've all dealt with had a crisis. And he just gave us a lot of reflection on what to do and how to better ourselves in that situation. So today, who are we joined by? We are joined by 4 times Olympic skier Chemmy Alcott. She is an English former World Cup Alpine race ski racer and a fiercely determined and courageous sportswoman. As the only British female skier to ever win a run in a World Cup, she is widely regarded as one of Britain's greatest ever skiers. Having broken 49 bones, 49, Mark. Mark, how many bones have you ever broken in your life?
One.
Chemmy is no stranger.
You're not charging enough.
I'm not trying hard enough, no.
Chemmy is no stranger to adversity and remains committed to inspiring the next generation and educating people from all over the world through sport. Join us today to find out what it took for Chemmy to become successful and how you can apply some of her tips to stay at the top of your game. So guys, I just want to take you on a journey. Okay, it's 1984. Max McGillivray is this high. He's at Lewis Priory Comprehensive in Sussex. We go on the ski trip. We go the ski trip to Austria. We go the ski trip to Kitzbühel. So I'm there. I've got secondhand top on, which is red. I've got secondhand salopettes on, which are green. And why that? So that the instructors could see which way up I was, depending on whether I was skiing or in a drift. And the instructor, he took us to the top of the Hanukkah. Have I pronounced it correctly?
Yes, you have. Well done.
And how do you describe that, Mark? Do you remember when you saw the top of that fierce mountain? And I thought, there's no way I am ever going to be a professional skier. You need to have guts. You need to be so professional. You need to be something special to be able to do that. Chemmy, come on. How did you get into skiing? What was the thing that drove you into this mad world of chucking yourself down a mountain to fight gravity? Well, why? How?
Most people say you've got to have a few screws loose to choose to be a downhill skier. And we're talking, the maximum speed I ever reached was 92 miles an hour, which is kind of crazy. I remember the first time I unfortunately got pulled over by the police in a car, and they said, "You've been speeding." I said, listen, I've got a car around me. When I ski race, I've got nothing but wind and fire, and I can go 92 miles an hour. And this policeman's looking at me like, listen, you're breaking the rules. This is not right. So that didn't work as a get out clause. But yeah, I mean, it's a common question. I still live in London. I grew up in London, but I was born into a sports mad family. I've got older siblings, and by the time I was born, my eldest brother had been talent ID'd by the French ski school, and they're like, this guy's good. And I saw him, I idolized him, and I wanted to get into it. And I always say, actually, genetically, I was made to be a skier. My dad was a former professional rugby player, and my mum was a swimmer. So I got his glutes and her lungs, and I was made to be this mountain goat. And I do think having that background of sport in the family helped, especially when I started going through some tough times. My mum retired from swimming very early, one of her first injuries, and I know she regretted it her whole life. So having that kind of background environment to grow up in, even though I was growing up in London, I had this sport was at the heart of everything that we did. And I used to want to be a tennis player as well, actually. I was going to be a tennis player in the summer and a ski racer in the winter. And unfortunately, I stopped playing tennis because I used to try and kill the ball. I'm a very aggressive person. I don't look it, but I'm literally like, every time I hit a ball, I want to win the point. I don't like playing. And back when I was growing up, this was the Steffi Graf era, and it was all about flow and fluidity. And I was like, nah, I just want to win. And I actually retired from tennis because I got one of those injuries that you just mentioned, cracked my humerus, and I had to choose between tennis or skiing. And 6 months after that, I went to the World Children's Olympics and I won gold, and I had my first taste of elite sport and being successful, and I chose skiing. And I look back every day and I'm very grateful for that, because actually psychologically skiing is very challenging. You are out there, you've got to throw yourself down this mountain, you have to find your limit between underperforming and crossing that boundary and probably being helicoptered away for a couple of years out of the sport because of injury. Whereas tennis is, it's a direct battle against that person. And you get quite a lot of bitchiness with it. You get like people trying to psych you out, whereas I'm best friends with all the girls I used to race with, because there's so much respect. If I go down a mountain and someone comes down and beats me by 2 seconds, they have gone more on the limit in this dangerous sport than me. So you shake their plan. You're skiing against the mountain. You're feeling like you're a small entity in this big space. I mean, look at this view. We race in this view, and there's no one around. We're really spoiled as ski racers, obviously going 80, 90 miles an hour. There's quite a lot of safety. So you have your own mountain in front of you, and you feel kind of epic and awesome because of it. So I'm really glad I chose ski racing. It's an incredible sport, but to choose that and live in London, it is quite a challenge.
And Chemmy, there's a really interesting link here. Just coincidentally, I did a broadcast yesterday for a group, an international group that we host called Global Women Fresh, and that's to encourage more women into fresh food and agriculture on a global basis. And we were talking about women in venture capital, and there were 3 ladies on from 2 different continents. No one knew anyone, and you can see my style. It all worked. But halfway through this broadcast, we found out that the common denominator with all these ladies who were in ag tech and venture capital was professional sports. One of them was 2 of them were ex-professional tennis players, and one of them was a professional jockey, and they then took that skill, that discipline, that stamina, that endurance into the world of business. With yourself, with you building up this expertise in skiing, was it a given that you're going to become a pro, or did you look at other opportunities in the world of business or corporate or education? What drove you to go down the pro route, please?
And I mean, I've always wanted to win an Olympic gold in ski racing. I found early on that ski racing was the sport for me. I gave myself an ultimatum at my A-levels. I did finish my A-levels in the UK, which not a lot of my peers did. They're all out there in the mountains from the age of 12. And I said, if I got 4 A's in my A-levels, I could become a ski bum for the rest of my life and no one would judge me for it. Now, I actually got 3 A's and a B, and I was distraught because I thought that dream was over. And I had the B remarked, and as they say, it's history. And 6 months after that, I was at my first Olympics in Salt Lake City. And I've never really looked back, because I know that I have always got that option to follow business, follow education. And actually, one of the best things that sport taught me is how to pick myself up and have the confidence to keep going, because it's not a funded sport in the UK. At one point in my life, I was on the UK sports spectrum. But I was ranked 8th in the world, and I got injured and they pulled my funding straight away. And they only funded me for a sixth of my program. So from the age of 10, my mum was a marketing genius, and she would push me forward to tell people my dreams, to try and get myself sponsors. I remember she took me out of school once in my school uniform, and there was this conference going on, business and sport in London, all suits in the room. And I walk in, this, slightly chubby but very determined 10-year-old. And my mum pats me on the back and says, right, go and tell everyone your dream and make people want to be part of it. And I was like, okay. And I did. And I walked away. I had my first sponsor. That summer, I went down to New Zealand at 10 years old for 3 months on my own. And I used to go down to New Zealand every single summer. And that's how much I wanted it. I used to beg for it. And I know 10-year-olds now who, they can't go anywhere without holding their parents' hand. But that's how obsessed I was to be the best. I just
Mark and I, we got a love of motorsports, and it's Mark, it sounds very Lewis Hamilton-esque, doesn't it, to have that determination and to have that drive from your parents, and just exploring that bit again about injuries. You're 8th in the world, and then you get an injury, then you get knocked back. Has your has your journey through skiing, has it been an easy one because of your personality, or have you had speed bumps along the way that you've really struggled with, that you've had to find innovative ways around them? Has it been easy, Chemmy?
No, it's not been easy. And it's more in hindsight, since I've retired, that I realized how much talent I had. And actually, if I'm really honest, how I didn't fulfill my talent, because for a massive chunk of my career, when I was healthy and very fast, I had a fear of failure, and I was really blocked in races, and I couldn't translate my really fast skiing from training into a race because of all this huge expectation. I was like the one to watch growing up. And it was really, really challenging. And then I started getting hurt, and on paper, people think my career is disastrous because, I've broken all these bones. But actually, every time I crashed, I was skiing with the confidence to risk everything. Whereas previous to that, I was underperforming, and I was choosing to underperform. And that's what we're in, this dangerous aspect right now, post-pandemic. Everyone wants to be comfortable. Everyone wants to live within themselves. And actually, it's really dangerous because none of us are fulfilling our personal growth mindset. None of us are going out there and making mistakes. We're scared of everything. We're scared of failure. We're just like, you know what? This is enough. And for 8 years, I did enough to be the best in Britain and in the world. I was ranked around 20th, and it was good, but it wasn't my best. And actually, when I started crashing, I've got this great relationship with injuries and all the scars I have, and my neck fused together from a neck break. I look back at those times and I'm like, you know what? I gave it my all. I pushed myself to my limit and further. And that's way more satisfying than going, I skied at 80%. I kept something back. And that's what we're all doing. Everyone's like, you know what? I don't want to make mistakes. We have this, failure, this word failure. Oh, I don't want to fail. Well, you need to fail. You need to have the confidence to take risks and make mistakes and go, you know what led up to that? You have to look back and think about the pathway that led to that mistake and learn from it. You don't make mistakes and then just move on and go, okay, whatever, I've lost a bunch of money, or my crops this winter didn't do what I wanted them to do, or my team aren't happy, so we're underperforming. You go, okay, well, what could I have done differently? And you learn from that. Otherwise, you're just in this vicious circle of underperforming and sub-maximum, and it's just dangerous. And I think if I, as a downhill ski racer, can go out there and push my limit, and my limit is breaking the bones in my legs so much that they break outside my ski boot through the plastic, and I'm in a helicopter and I can't ski for 16 months, then you guys can go out there and push yourself too, because there might not have to be a helicopter at the other end. It might just be a team meeting where you evaluate what you've done wrong and move forward from it.
Mark, it's fascinating. I can't remember which one of our previous speakers said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Blimey, look at Chemmy, to actually not enjoy the injuries, but to learn from that. Right, I've gone as far as I can. Okay, I know how I can. So what do you think, Mark? In business, if we do that, there's no reason. It's nothing to be ashamed of to fail. At least you've tried and you've learned from that. You've pushed your envelope of stress, of ambition, and if it hasn't worked, you've learned from that and you can try again. Mark?
No, that was Tim, and I think that having that courage to go, I'm going to give something a go, I'm going to try something a little bit different, I'm going to push myself out of my comfort zone, to try and continually better yourself, and is something that people aren't that great about.
And sorry, Mark, and Chemmy, the Olympics, just walk us through the Olympics. Unfortunately, Mark and I aren't going to make the Olympics, not even in ping pong. So just to talk us how that works.
I mean, the Olympics is a crazy special event, and as a nation, we are obsessed with the Olympics. It's quite a hard thing as an athlete to focus on, because it's once every 4 years. So you do almost 10,000 hours of work for a 2-minute showdown. It's literally like you're almost an entertainer. You do all this prep work, and then you have this tiny window to show the world what you're capable of. And it's quite hard, because in alpine skiing, if you aim to peak just for the Olympic year, then you're going to be in trouble, because we have snow conditions to contend with. So if you don't perform every year beforehand, your world ranking goes up. If your world ranking goes up, you have ruts. And if you have ruts next to the gate, you're going to be slower than the world elite. Because the way it goes is that the best skiers in the world ski first, and then the conditions deteriorate. So if you don't perform consistently every weekend for the 4 years beforehand, then you won't be in chance with an Olympic medal. So it's quite a hard thing to get into your head. I mean, for me, I love the Olympics. I definitely have my blinkers on the Olympics. You try to treat it like any other event, but it is anything but any other event. Everyone always says that, all the psychologists, and control the controllables, and don't let yourself be distracted by the craziness around it. But it is tough. It's you get in that start gate, and you know that you've got this one chance, and sometimes you take that chance. And I remember my first Olympics at 19, I came 14th, and I was like, that was a decent performance. And then I came 11th a bunch of times, which was really frustrating, because I never got the top 10. But I was really close. I mean, in Turin Olympics, I was in third until the last split. So for 1 minute and 30 of that Olympic track, I was in third position. But I was ranked 150 at the world at the time. And the only reason I'd overperformed was because the conditions were bad and everyone else let fear in. And I was a bit of a nutter then. And I was like, you know what? Oh my God. And at the end, it was quite funny. When I retired, everyone said, oh, Chemmy, you always skied well when the weather was bad and when it was like precipitation and foggy. And I was like, why? Why do you always say that? I'm like, well, you live in London. You know, you're used to crappy weather.
No.
So Chemmy, we need to learn from you. We all of us have that start gate scenario of the Olympics in our life. It could be a speech at a wedding. It could be pitching for new business. It could be you found the person that you want to hire, but it's a bit touch and go as to whether they're going to come. So everyone has that starting gate at the Olympics moment in their own life. How would you recommend that people prepare for that, so that they can stay focused, so they don't get distracted, so that they can see the finish and they can conquer, they can win that particular race with all these distractions around them? What would your advice be? How can we all win?
First of all, don't focus on the finish. You know, you, Max, there saying how, get to the finish. Don't focus on that. Stay in the present. A lot of people think about the outcome instead of the input that they need to be their very best. So do loads of preparation. And then when you are in that start gate, you have to anticipate that there will be a fear bubble there. And you will be scared. That is totally normal. If you're not scared, then you're not pushing yourself. Every time I got in the start gate, I felt fear. It's important. Wow. You've got to have respect for what you're about to do. If you're standing there all flippant and thinking you're prepared, then you're probably actually not prepared enough. If there's something giving you that edge, nerves give you that edge. Yeah. To my younger clients, I always say, those butterflies in your stomach, as soon as you get the green light, they turn into a dragon. And that is who you need to be. I know it's a really childish philosophy and imagery, but that's what happens. And I just think, embrace fear, find fear, use the adrenaline. You know, you will feel excited. That's great. Try and take a few deep breaths, get in that fear bubble, and then you choose to step out that fear bubble and boom, deliver.
Wow. Mark, don't you love that that those initial nerves, green light comes on, that turns into a dragon. Great quote.
It's huge, and I'm a great believer that stress, fear, whatever you want to call it, it does keep you sharp, and it does focus that mind to be able to deliver hopefully what you're aiming to deliver. But building on that, with the focus, with the sustained performance, with that complete dedication to wanting to win that Olympic gold, or wanting to hurtle down that mountain and beat the mountain and beat the net. How do you maintain that Olympic pro sportswoman machine? How do you keep that sustained performance for that long?
I mean, I had a pretty huge career despite all my injuries, and I did 4 Olympic cycles. So 4 Olympic cycles equates to 16 years. Yeah. So the thing was, I never saw it as a 16-year focus. I evolved massively as an athlete in that time. I started off as a tech skier, so slalom and giant slalom. And then I got crazier and crazier as my career went on. So I started to ski speed towards the end. But you've constantly changing. I mean, even nutritionally, every 4 years, I would look at that Olympic track that gets released and think, how is the terrain there? I mean, this is the minute precision that goes into planning. And I'd see, so let's talk about Vancouver 2010. The track there, it was all full of undulating terrain. It was really technical. So I was like, my natural body weight is about 75 kilos. And I was like, right, I'm going to get to 68 kilos for this Olympics because I need to be more agile. So everything you train, you retrain your body. It's quite exciting because that's not my natural body type, but I'm going to try and make it this because it might give me that edge to performance. Then Sochi Olympic track comes out in 2014 for that Olympics, and it is steep to flat, steep to flat. So then I want gravity, I want weight. I tried to join the over 80 kilos for that Olympics. So I changed all my training. I mean, I didn't actually get there because that was too far for my body type to go, but you're always evolving. You're always finding different aspects, different strengths. And that's the thing. You can't, you know, we always do these like character types when we're looking at our team. Well, you need to do those all the time because we are evolve as people. We find new passions all the time. We find new skills. So actually, if this is something you did a year ago, you need to redo it because you need to keep making sure every part of your team is inspired to perform better and keep excelling. And actually, if they're not, if you're still working the same skills with them, or they're still doing the same thing in your business that they did a year ago, they might be getting bored. And boredom is the worst thing you can do. Boredom is the opposite of fear. You need fear, you need excitement to be your very best. You know, if you're bored, you don't want to be there, you will underperform.
Yeah, just go back to this broadcast I did yesterday. One of the ladies worked for Tesla for a 10-year period, and just stated how inspiring a company it was because of the excitement and the fear that you sometimes have, because they just kept on loading big, juicy, challenging projects onto all the team, and everyone wanted to do good by Elon Musk, and that fear was actually very positive within that business. And it's one of the reasons why it's such a successful business, because it attracts all these great people, and they're all so driven that they don't really have to be managed. So there's this positive fear within the business, not of in the respect of Michelle, here's a big chunky project, we think you're just about there, but come on, here you go, sink or swim, but we know you're going to swim, off you go. I mean, it's again in business, sometimes we don't see that. What do you think, Mark, that the people dialing in, should they be challenging some of their team and perhaps themselves for a little bit of fear, step out of the comfort zone, so that they can challenge themselves, their businesses, so whether that be in their business life or even their social life, just have more fear and do not get succumbed by boredom? What do you think, Mark?
Most definitely encouraging that creativity, encouraging to just have a go at something different and try it. And if it fails and goes all belly up and wrong, learn from it. And yeah, that's something that our industry really needs to embrace. And it comes back to the point that Chemmy makes around we want to be comfortable. We want to sit in that comfort zone. We need to push ourselves out of it.
Yeah, challenge it all. Chemmy, can I just try to show off that I got in a rut, so I wanted to do something different. So I rode a motorbike from London to Cape Town, and it was 18,000 kilometers, 18 different countries. We visited 50 farms. We had 250,000 kids following us in real time. When I set off, I was so frightened. But when we got into Morocco, and we just it just turned into a dream, and I wish I'd done it years previously. So I go back to that expression of either Mark or Isaac's about life begins outside of your comfort zone. So if the likes of me can do something like that, crikey, anyone can. And Chemmy, just going back to yourself, inspiration, mentors. We've had a lot of people on our broadcast saying that what you need is a mentor, because they're worldly wise. They've seen all the speed bumps before. They're very well connected. You should align yourself to a mentor, and perhaps have a different mentor every 4 or 5 years, as you intimated, as we grow through our life cycle to different stages. What did you do for inspiration? What did you do for mentorship, or did you not? Were you just self-driven?
I think when I was younger, I was self-driven. I was really inspired by my mum. She passed away after the Turin Olympics. And a lot of people thought I skied for my mum, and they expected that after she died that I would retire. And actually, it took me about 4 days to realize that she was just there supporting my dreams. And I'd hidden behind her quite a lot, because it was very unpopular as a young girl to be as driven as I was. So I would hide behind my mum saying, oh, she's making me do this. She's sending me to New Zealand. She's doing this. And actually it wasn't. She just let herself be kind of that negative, perception from the exterior, because she didn't want it to be on me. Because unfortunately, young girls, and I mentor quite a lot of young girls, and they don't want to be outspoken with their ambitions, because it's not an attractive quality. Young boys who I mentor, they will tell me straight away, I'm going to win, I'm going to do this. Whereas girls think it seems arrogant if they say that. So I was kind of in that boat. So my mum definitely was really inspirational to me when I was growing up. I also loved Alberto Tomba, who some people might remember, a huge character in alpine skiing. He was like a god, because he'd fall over, he'd get back up. He was just such a personality. Unfortunately, when I was 18, he gave me his phone number at an event. And it kind of burst the bubble of my inspiration and my adoration for him. But he does, I mean, I'm not taking it personally, because he does that with everyone. He loves the women. But I think like the biggest inspiration I used was almost being an underdog. You know, being from Britain and being a ski racer, no one expected anything from me. You know, it was like, oh, you know, Eddie the Eagle, incredible as he was famous for not being very good. And it irritated me when I was growing up, and people said, oh, are you trying to be like Eddie the Eagle? I was like, no, because I want to win. And so I used that. I mean, I remember the World Cup you talked about at the very beginning, where I won the second run. It was in front of 30,000 Austrian fans, and they were like, oh my gosh, this British girl has beaten our Austrian girls who ski on this hill, everything. And they were like, where's she come from? What, you know, and it was almost like they didn't understand that I'd been living this dream for a long, long time. They didn't know all the sacrifices and the experiences I've had, but actually it was quite nice. It was like, you know, no one expects anything. So when you do well, it's really highlighted. So I used myself as being an underdog, which other people perceive as a real like confidence booster, because I felt like no one expects anything. I could go out there and be free and perform.
Yeah. And do you think there's a correlation there within business, that if some of the people dialed in, if they've got a business that's slightly underperforming, so they should actually relish that, because they've got the ability to do something significant with it, rather than be morose and think, oh, the world's going to end. Actually turn that, as you have done to a certain extent, turn that negative into a positive. I am the underdog. Come on, let's perform. But no one's expecting anything. Let's bag this out of the park.
I mean, I always say sport and business, it's all a roller coaster, right? So if you're right now down here, the only way is up. And as the ski racing, you know, everyone always says this to me, when you're at the top and you've got a target on your back, you've got to be really careful. It's very difficult to maintain that level and expectation and pressure. And somehow sometimes you end up going downhill. But then when you get down there, you've just got to consistently evolve to your current situation. And we don't, you know, sometimes we think we're the best, we get complacent, and then people start catching us. Or we work really hard because we're on the way up. And, you know, just see everything as a positive, see everything as I hate the word journey, but it does come into play quite a lot.
Yeah. So we're slightly running out of time. What would be great, because it's a really nice segue, the way that we've sort of winged this conversation, but it's come to a really positive end. Are there any messages that you'd like to share with our audience to stay on top of our own personal mountains, But have you got 2 or 3 messages that you could give to us, Chemmy, on that basis?
Yeah. Well, first of all, recently I watched Jeremy Clarkson in The Farm, and I have an immense respect for the farming industry, what you are doing, how imperative you are to everyone. You know, you are the backbone of what we all need when we consume. And I just want to say thank you for all the hard grafting you do. I, like you, work in an environment that is outdoors, that is unpredictable, that is ever changing. And I just think there is some synergy that sport and farming can offer each other. So here are a few things I'd like to say. Don't be afraid to take risks. Find that growth mindset, a way to evolve every single day, whether you're winning or you're making mistakes. You've got to learn from it. The other thing is love what you do. What we do and what we've chosen to do is tough. If you love what you do and you're passionate about it, you can ride that roller coaster when you're on the down. The grass isn't greener. I think that's a really, really important one. I always thought that when I was injured, or maybe I should be doing something else, but actually remember where your passions lie. And then lastly, be mindful of what you need. If you're not fulfilling your own personal needs, then professionally you can't excel. Like, look inside yourself. What do you need to be happy? And we all kind of trying to change that with our working hours post-pandemic. You know, what do I need to be the best at what I do in the office? So those are my 3. I do have one more takeaway quote that I have stolen from someone else, but that I live by, and that's, I never lose, either I win or I learn. And that is just imperative. Never think about losing. You're either winning or you're learning.
Mark, you got to wrap up for us?
Well, that's absolutely fantastic, Chemmy. And I think that key bit about, you need to understand what you want. It's all right saying you want to have the biggest dairy herd in the world, or you want to make £1 million by the time you're 21, but you've got to really believe, and that's got to be really what your internal drivers are. And I think the point that I really liked is that adapting to what's in front of you. We've got to continually be reading what the lie of the land, or the markets, or what the industry is doing, to continually making little tweaks and changes, so that you can consistently evolve. But no, fantastic. What some great messages.
There is. I'm going to go back through this recording and write them all down, as I have done previously with Holly and Tim when we've had them on. Chemmy, you've been absolutely brilliant. Before you go and we wrap up this AHDB Beanstalk Talking Leaders series, please everyone join us for the next one. If you look at our AHDB website or the Beanstalk website, you'll see that the next 3 or 4 great speakers like Chemmy that we're going to have on. Chemmy, we just have to ask you one question before we wrap up. We're going to make you the Olympic choice, the Olympic selector as to who's going to be the UK men's downhill skier, and you've got a choice of 2 individuals, Mark or me. So who's it going to be? Who are you going to choose? You can only choose one. Is it going to be Mark, or is it going to be me?
This is easy. I'm sorry, Max, but look at Mark's aerodynamics. He came into shot there. He got his hands in front of his chin. He was in his tuck position. He's fast.
I did hit my half marathon PB last weekend. I smashed the Brighton half in under an hour and 45.
This has been rigged. We're leaving. Chemmy, you've been brilliant. Mark, you've been brilliant. Thank you, everyone. Chemmy, quickly, your socials. We want to follow you. How do we find out about you, please?
Chemmy Ski on everything. ChemMySki.
Excellent. Chemmy, thank you. Mark, thank you. We'll see you at the next one. Keep well. Cheers.